If you've watched Inside Out 2, you probably felt at least a little frustrated with anxiety, just like everyone else.
I'm anxiety. Where can I put my stuff?
A new emotion!
Oh, I'm sorry.
But do you remember all the terrible things she did throughout the movie?
Riley's life requires more sophisticated emotions than all of you.
You can't just bottle us up!
Forgetting her friends. Although anxiety did something quite nice by making Riley recognize her mistake and apologize to Val for causing trouble to the team, before that, she had already done something not so good. This act hinted at the path the new emotion would lead Riley on in the coming days. When Riley bumps into Val and meets the captain of the Falcons, whom she admired so much, the new acquaintance invites her to see the gym from the inside. Immediately, Joy tells Anxiety that Riley should go in with her friends Bree and Grace, but the orange emotion prioritizes following Val to fit in with the new group she wanted to be a part of. As we see throughout the movie, this showed that the antagonist was not interested in maintaining Riley's loyalty to her oldest friends in San Francisco, even in small gestures like waiting to go in together. This was just the beginning of all the terrible things the new emotion would cause in Riley's life, and Inside Out 2, as you'll see now.
I'm the worst!
Switching teams. Shortly after talking to Val and apologizing, when the girls are already at the skating rink, Bree and Grace approach Riley and talk about how they make a good team. And since they're a trio of best friends, it would be natural for them to play on the same team during camp. If it weren't for anxiety, Riley would have thanked Val for inviting her to be a part of her team during camp, but said she'd stay with her friends because it was a promise they had. But that's not what she does, and at this moment, we see one of the saddest scenes in the movie when Riley literally dismisses Bree and Grace and joins Val's team. This kind of attitude showed how Riley's ethics and morals were becoming increasingly unstable.
We are suppressed emotions!
Ripping out her sense of self. Before what we just talked about happens, we see that even when anxiety presses the buttons to make Riley join the team where her closest friends are not, her body resists. Joy then explains that this is happening because Riley's sense of self about her being a good person is very strong. This explanation was enough for anxiety to understand that this was actually hindering her plans for the girl. So, before anyone could notice, she suddenly rips out Riley's sense of self and uses the equipment created by Joy herself to send it far away, despite the first emotion trying to prevent it from happening. From that moment on, our protagonist became a completely selfish person with no identity, leading her to do things Riley would normally never do. So this was definitely one of the worst things the new orange emotion ended up doing in the girl's mind. And since Riley also had a desire to be a better person, we should all strive for that too. If you want that as well, comment below with #kindness.
What? I'm still your friend. Come on, give me a hug.
Suppressing emotions. After committing the atrocity of ripping out Riley's sense of self and sending it to the far reaches of her mind, anxiety now wanted to place the orange memory she had created with Riley and take it to her conviction center. At this moment, the old emotions blocked the way to prevent this from happening, which would make everything even worse. This is when we see embarrassment capturing all of them and putting them in a glass jar to be sent to the forgetting vault in Riley's mind. This makes it clear that the leader of the new emotions had planned from the beginning to deport the old emotions from Riley's control center if they interfered. This becomes evident as Ennui mentions that Joy was too old-fashioned. Envy opens the elevator to take anxiety to the conviction center, and Embarrassment, who was so timid, grabbed the old emotions and put them in the jar. So the intention was probably always to do this from the start.
I'm just curious, maybe I could
Thank you,
help?
not now!
Yeah!
Reading the coach's diary. Shortly after the Falcons team practice, the girls pass by the coach's office and mention how they would love to know what's in her notes. After all, that's where all the information about their performance and strengths and weaknesses from the coach's perspective was kept. Those words were enough for the orange emotion to come up with a completely unethical plan, but one that she deemed necessary to secretly read someone else's notes. This is definitely a very wrong thing to do, and despite Sadness's attempt, who had secretly returned to Riley's mind, Anxiety managed to get Riley to sneak into the office and read what the coach had written about her. This is something Riley would never have done if all the emotions were where they should be. Making Riley lie. As we mentioned earlier, when Anxiety rips out Riley's sense of self, which was responsible for her believing that being a good person was the most important thing, it completely changes her behavior. We can clearly see this at night when all the girls on the team are gathered and Riley, Bree, and Grace are present. At that moment, the movie's protagonist, completely influenced by the orange emotion, starts pretending to be someone she's not, giving her old friends a sense of falseness that they had never seen before. For example, when the girls ask about her favorite band and music, Riley starts giving answers that have nothing to do with reality, making Bree and Grace realize that none of it was real. Riley was just pretending to be someone she really wasn't, because of Anxiety's actions and the contribution of the new other emotions.
Look at your hair. Oh yeah, not happening.
Creating a headquarters. One of the terrible things the leader of the new emotions does is secretly create a place where she commands a huge group of Riley's mind workers, intensively generating ideas and possibilities of horrible things that could happen to her. Of course, these were just the worst possible scenarios, which ended up completely polluting the protagonist's mind. These thoughts filled Riley's mind to such an extent that she couldn't sleep, which inevitably led to poor rest and a terrible performance in hockey practice. The worst part is that the orange emotion prevented the workers from creating situations Riley could envision as fun and positive, as it becomes clear when joy enters the place and starts, along with the old emotions, creating happier ideas. Anxiety doesn't like this one bit. This attitude from the orange emotion shows that she was totally focused on following her initial plan at all costs. If she were subscribed to our channel, she definitely wouldn't have done that, as she would have watched some of the best videos on YouTube and have been more relaxed. Take this tip, and if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe now.
Thank you!
Destroying the way back. When Sadness returns to the Emotion Control Center, she manages to hide from the new emotions for a while and kind of messes up Anxiety's evil plans. One of the things the blue emotion was going to do was bring back the old emotions along with Riley's sense of self that the orange emotion had thrown away, through the same duct. The moment Anxiety realizes the blue emotion's plan, she simply destroys the entire duct that carried the memories away, preventing the emotions from returning with Riley's sense of self and causing the duct pieces to almost fall on Joy's group. She was definitely very selfish and cruel with this action.
That's not gonna haunt us for the rest of our lives at all.
Hurting a friend. After all the bad things Anxiety had done, we see Riley becoming a complete bundle of nerves. To complicate her emotional state even more, the orange emotion makes Riley focus on achieving the goal of scoring the 3 points that no freshman had ever made in any previous hockey camps. She becomes so determined to achieve this at any cost that we see Riley violently bumping into Grace, one of her best friends, just 2 days ago. This behavior, totally motivated by Anxiety's actions in recent days while occupying Riley's control center along with the other new emotions, could have seriously injured Grace and would still make Riley lose any chance of actually getting a spot on the hockey team. In other words, Anxiety was so blind to achieving her big goal that she couldn't see that her actions would end up achieving the exact opposite.
I plan for the future.
Panic attack. All of this eventually led to an unsustainable point where Riley's mind and thoughts were literally racing at full speed. This resulted in the panic attack we see her experiencing while sitting on the bench during the hockey game. The worst part is that the more emotionally unstable Riley became, the faster Anxiety operated the control panel, making the catastrophe even worse if not for Joy's intervention, who understood exactly what needed to be done to save Riley's mind, and maybe even her life, which could have been at risk. In other words, Anxiety could have literally killed Riley. This was definitely the worst action she could have taken during Inside Out 2. The good news is that everything ended well, and Anxiety now has a relaxing chair and a cup of calming tea. And if you also want to relax like Anxiety, we're leaving 2 great videos for you to check out and stay with us. Just click on the one you prefer. Enjoy your next video!